All right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the It's Your Perspective Talk Show podcast. It is Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. My name is David, aka Kimba, aka Christian. Biggie Soup is still on special assignment. We are coming to you live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until AST time. Coming to you live from the beautiful island of St. Croix, Virgin Islands. Our telephone is out tonight. We're working on trying to get that fixed. This show is coming to you via StreamYard, StreamYard.com. We're streaming this show to Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. Check out StreamYard if you're into podcasting. What else we got? I guess about it for housekeeping notes. But as we roll on here, we do have a special guest in the studio tonight. Let me bring him up here. Think there he is right there. Anthony Mardenborough.
Yes, Mardenborough. Yes.
Mardenborough Jr.
Yes.
Welcome back to the show. He was on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, sometime back, and I follow your page, and you're a fan favorite, as I said to you before we went live. A lot of people like you, and a lot of people are rooting for you. I guess any of your endeavors, people are rooting for you, wanting to see that you do well and do what's right for the youth and that kind of stuff. So, I could always appreciate that, and just wanted to get you back on the show. So how you been doing?
I've been well. I've been growing, especially from last year, 2024, which I know we'll dive in shortly, but I've been well. I've been relaxing. I've been focusing on me for a little bit. And I'm back in. I'm ready to continue doing what I've been doing. So
Okay. So what have you been doing? I mean, it's been a while. I mean, I think from what I gather, you've been sort of still active. But,
yes.
I mean, from the last time you were on the show, I think that was prior to the hurricane, right? If I remember correctly.
No, it was after. It was after.
Is that the hurricane? Okay. So that's I guess that was in 2019, 17?
Maybe 20. Yeah, maybe about 2020-ish, 2021.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's been just a few years.
Yes.
So what have you been up to?
So the last time I was on here, I transferred schools. So I've been at Free Will now for the past 3 years, and I had the opportunity to teach for 2 years there, and then I transitioned into a leadership role. So I'm now the director of student activities and school climate. This is a whole new position. It's the first time that the school is doing this position, and my job primarily is to make sure the students have an engaging social life and experience when they come on the campus. And I also try to ensure the parents, the family members have a welcoming experience when they come on the campus. And then, of course, to make sure that behavior and PBI, so being in charge of positive behavior intervention support. That's kind of what my job is. And so I work primarily with the principal and the counselor to make sure our students are on task behavior-wise. And then I work with all the other staff members, teachers, students to make sure that activities come out the way it's supposed to. And so still in education, this school year actually marked my 5th year being an educator. So it's been an interesting journey. I've grown a lot since I started at 18 to where I am now, turning 23 next year. So it's been changing. It's life-changing, I will say that.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, you mentioned before we started, when you were on the show before, you were teaching at St. Joseph.
Yes, I was teaching at St. Joseph at the time. Yes.
Was that was the start of your career there, a teaching career?
Yes, that was the start of my teaching career. I went to the States after graduating college. I went to the States for a few months, and then COVID spiked up again, and I wanted to be home. So I came back home, and I got a job working at a law office where I actually interned during senior year. And then I saw a post on Facebook. The school was looking for a teacher. I didn't have my degree at the time. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just apply anyway. I mean, the biggest thing they could say is no. So I applied anyway, had the interview, and I got the job. And that's how my whole teaching career started. It started from a Facebook post.
Yeah. So you were teaching first, then you transitioned to this new position.
Yes. So I taught for 4 years before I transferred into a school leadership position.
And when you were talking about the new position, you mentioned the word social. So I
Yes,
mean, you're sort of guiding students socially, which I
yes,
would assume includes the, I guess, the whole thing about the internet.
yes,
Is
yes.
that part of it
So
too?
yes, so we're working with teams. So we're part of that is developing the students' social media presence and trying to show them the proper way to use social media, and how to interact. So we just did a no bullying seminar a couple weeks ago, where we had the police department come in and actually talk to our students about cyberbullying, how to avoid it, how to not do it, that kinds of stuff. So those are some of the things I do. Also, part of that is the marketing aspect. So the school, we developed a Chronicle on Fries, which is a monthly newspaper that
Mm-hmm.
highlights all of the things that happen for the month prior. So
Mm-hmm.
it comes out a few days into every month and it recaps the previous month. And so that's something we've been doing as well. And it gives the students an avenue to basically share with their peers, hey, this is all that we've done for the month. Look at it and read and see. You might even find yourself in it. So
Okay.
that's part of my job. Just making sure that the students want to be at school, because we have a lot of times the students don't want to be here. And so, and I'm not just talking about my school, but I'm talking in general. And
Mm-hmm.
so part of my job is to help fix that, make them want to be here.
Okay. And Free Will Baptist is that K through 12, or is that
Yes, it is a K through 12.
okay?
We have two campuses. We have the elementary, which runs from K3 all the way to fifth grade, and then the upper campus, which is from 6 through 12.
Okay, so they're not at the same location?
We're a few steps away from each other. So
Okay,
the
okay,
upper campus is on one side, and then the elementary campus is like a few steps. There's a road
okay,
between the two campuses.
okay. That's what I thought. Okay,
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I thought. Sorry about that.
No, no
uh,
worries.
yeah. So you like that? You like that? I mean, you prefer that over teaching?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always teaching. I have classes I teach currently still. History is always something I'm going to be continue attached to. That's just who I am, and so I didn't want to necessarily give up teaching as a whole. But I
Mm-hmm.
do know my responsibility as director, and that's going to take a lot of time of my schedule. So there were some arrangements made where I would teach a few of the high school history classes. And so I still enjoy teaching. I think even when I become an administrator, if I were to become one, I will
Mm-hmm.
probably still teach at least one class. I just like the aspect of teaching and reaching the students and sharing the knowledge and the
Mm-hmm.
information with them. And so I enjoy teaching, but I love this job more. I get to be the fun guy. I get to
Oh,
be the one that plans all the fun things, you know?
okay.
So
So as a teacher, I mean, what are some
yes.
of the what are some of the daily struggles that you're seeing, with kids, being a kid now is way different than I'm sure when you were a kid, and way
Yes,
different than
for
when
sure.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
So what are some of the struggles?
Daily struggles. One for sure, I believe the involvement of parents. I think the involvement of parents in terms of the students, academic and behavior wise, is playing a very, very, very different role now than when I was a child and when you were a child. Some of these parents you gotta kind of like reel them in. Especially for me, I work at a school where the parents pay tuition for their children to attend the school, and
Mm-hmm.
so it kind of has this tone like, okay, you're kind of wasting your parents' money by not doing what you're supposed to be doing. But
Mm-hmm.
then you have the parents that just kind of like, well, it just sometimes it shows a lack of engagement, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's a struggle of mine because I'm trying to set a routine, or I might be trying to set a structure in place or whatever that might be for that child specifically, because I believe this is what might work. I
Mm-hmm.
could take 8 hours doing that every single day, every single week, and the child goes home and the parents just undo everything I tried to set the
Mm-hmm.
day in school. So that's one of the struggles. And then social media definitely is playing a huge role in a lot of the things, to the point where some of the things the students say, the fact that they have so much control on the children, um And I know my fellow teachers out there, like I could throw out some examples. 6-7 has become such a big thing in the classroom. So it's just a lot of those things. The outside sources controlling the students, and the fact that they're adapting to all of this information outside. And that's why I usually say sometimes social media is a detriment, because they try to tell you, oh well, the influencer on TikTok is more educated than the person in the classroom that has the degree. So
Oh,
it's
really?
just
Okay.
it sometimes comes off as that. They don't say that, but
Mm,
based on their responses or how they interpret certain things, could come
mm,
off as that. And so
okay.
that's why I work extremely hard to show the students that, you know, I don't know everything, and I don't say I do, but I know for a fact I know more than this individual that's claiming to be a history educator but has never taught history in a classroom. So
Mm,
it's more of that um kind of
okay.
things that we have to deal with. But yeah, I would say top one, engagement with some of the parents. Two, I believe social media is playing a huge role. And then three, I would say the village. The village of raising a child is definitely dead. It was something present that I had growing up, and I don't see it as often, and it's playing a major role in why the Virgin Islands as a whole is the way it is right
So there's a lack of um, my parents maybe sort of guiding you
now.
as a kid is sort
Yes,
of what you're
the
saying.
accountability aspect. I mean,
Okay.
now and sometimes even with me, I might see a child, a boy particular, doing something in the street, um, you know, and he's doing something wrong. If I know the child personally, I'll correct them. But if it's a child I don't know, I sometimes now hesitate. Should I even say anything? Because now the parent might come and try to shoot me or try to fight me or try to do some foolishness, because I'm trying to
Yeah.
be that figure in the community. So that and there's people out there that understand exactly what I'm saying, because they try, and some people end up getting hurt for doing so. And so I think
Mm,
that aspect of everybody playing a role in building the Virgin Islander is missing. It's
okay.
missing.
Okay. So how would you I mean, what are your thoughts on maybe trying to fix that? How do you sort of go about fixing that?
We need to go back to just basics: loving one another, caring about one another, and
Mm,
understanding that each other's lives are important. I mean, I understand why people don't want to get involved, or people want to stay reserved. People in the Virgin Islands are dying left and right, and it's not because of natural causes. The leading one cause dead in Virgin Islands is gun violence in
hmm.
terms of young men.
Yes.
um
Yes.
and and that's playing a part as to why people don't want to say anything.
Mm,
And then, if I could go a step even further, conflict resolution. People are falling out for years, decades, over the simplest things. And so that's where we have a part to play with the generation in school, and by making conflict resolution something mandatory that people at least have to do, so that we can begin to build a society that reflects solving problems and making sure that everybody you might not agree,
mm.
but not resorting to violence or not
Violence. Yeah.
resorting to fights or whatever the case may be. And so is those core principles about living as a family. And I really believe after the hurricanes and after COVID, those two things played a huge role in why that core family dynamic is missing, and,
It's
and,
it's
and
it's
that core
it's
community is missing.
it's separating. It's going further apart.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good, man. I mean, that's important. It's just different now from
Mhm.
when you were,
Yes.
15 years old and when I was 15 years old.
Hmm.
But the other thing too is I think that which has always sort of been a problem is the parent teacher association. When you have these
Yes.
meetings, getting the parents to come in to sort of participate um, in, in those kind of things. And
Hmm.
I don't know if I've ever told you this. I have a grown son. My son is grown now. My son is in his 40s because I'm in my 60s.
Hmm.
And I remember when my son was, 14, 15, 16 years old. One of the things that even back then it was still a problem.
Hmm.
I would go to the parent teacher meetings, but then
Hmm.
there were a lot of other parents that didn't go. they're just not interested, and for whatever reason it was, they just would not go to the parent teacher meeting.
Yeah, but want to complain, and that's the part that gets me. You
Yeah.
have an avenue to express your concerns. Use it. That is my whole thing. And even with Facebook, with my generation, sometimes I get upset. Sometimes, like
Mm,
we quick to go on Facebook and type, "Oh, the government sucks," or "This individual is bad at their job," or whatever the case may be. But we live in a democracy. Every 2 or 4 years, we have the opportunity to choose who can represent us for the next 2 years or the next 4 years. But we
yes.
continue to choose the same people. And so
Mm,
it's like you can't complain about lack of change if you're not doing anything to get it.
to make the
It's
change, yeah.
like I keep saying, it's like you want a horse, but you keep picking crabs instead. Like you're not going to get the horse if you keep choosing crabs. And
Mm,
it's just that mentality of Virgin Islanders sometimes. If you want this result, stop doing what you've been doing and change so that you could get this result instead.
mm.
You know,
Yeah,
and I think that plays a part not only in education but in everything.
mm,
Virgin Islanders.
yeah. That's it. Kind of seems to be sort of the present status quo of Virgin Islands is just wanting change, but they're not really doing anything to make the
Hmm.
change,
Hmm.
and get upset, when something probably affects them directly. You know,
Yes.
as long as we don't change that, we'll always sort of be behind the eight ball on that. I mean, we just have to
Hmm.
change our mindset on that to
Yes.
get things done.
Agreed.
Okay, good. And you like teaching. So, what kind of history do you teach?
Yes. So I teach VI history.
Okay.
That's I taught VI history for one school year at St. Joseph, and then I came to Free Will, and somebody was already teaching it, and so I ended up teaching other histories, and then this year I got it. I got it. So the person left, and they ended up doing their own personal things, and so now I'm teaching VI world, government, and speech. So
Okay.
those are the classes I'm teaching, and I'm enjoying it. When I first got to Free Will, I did world history, US government, and so those were the ones I did.
Mm,
So yeah, I've always been history, but I've been teaching world ever since I started teaching.
okay.
That's been the number one. That's the one history that I've been consistently teaching for the past 5 years. So by the time now, anytime anybody mention any world history information, my students, I already know what they're talking about because I've been doing this for so long now.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, I'm glad to have VI back. You know, I'm a Virgin Islander, and I take pride in teaching my history. Now, I'm not always proud of certain things we've done, but I'm proud to teach it. I'm proud to teach fellow Virgin Islanders our history. Because I believe if you don't know our history, then people can come in and shape it and then change what you know as history. As we know,
mm,
history is always an ongoing thing. And so
mm,
we have to have young Virgin Islanders not only understand our history, but to preserve our culture. And so
mm,
that's why VI history is so important to me because it's not just what's in the book or what's on a PowerPoint or what's wherever. This is where you exist. This
mm,
is you.
mm. How are the students? Are they receptive of it, or
Yeah, so I enjoy teaching. That's actually my biggest class I have. I have 19 teaching that subject, and um
19
we actually
students?
doing, yeah, 19
Uh,
students in that class.
Okay.
And so we actually been exploring the Caribbean first. And so there was a change we did this year. So before me it was just Virgin Islands history, and I decided I want to do Caribbean history also. So we've we added the two. And so right now we're concentrating on Caribbean. And so they just learning about the other countries, their flags, their national flowers, birds, dishes, government structures, summaries of the places, just getting a general idea of these places and how they exist. Right now, we're doing Dominica, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Turks and Caicos, Montserrat, Martinique. Those are the ones we
Oh,
just started yesterday. So
okay.
we're just diving into. We've done Barbados already. We've done St. Kitts. We've done St. Bart's, Antigua. We've done Jamaica. Haiti, Dominican Republic. So we've done quite a bit so far. And we're just diving into the Caribbean first. We learned about Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles at the beginning of the school year. And so it was just showcasing the Caribbean. And then once we're finished, which would be like early December, we're diving into VI for the rest
Yeah,
of the school
history.
year.
Okay, I
Yeah.
got you. Okay, and they're
They
getting it.
enjoyed
They're
it.
understanding.
They enjoying it.
Okay.
Now I give a lot of work. And so a lot of my students they don't like that part of it. They don't like the a bunch of work, but they do enjoy the actual learning aspect of it because there's a
Mm,
lot of things that they didn't know, and so now they're being able to learn those things. Like one student today was like, Mr. M, I know they call me Mr. M by the way, because my name is so long. So I allow
mm.
them. That's been my name for 5 years now. So
Okay.
I'm used to it. But one student noticed that in the UK, all the UK territories, they have the Union Jack on their flag.
Mm,
And so, like for example, Montserrat, Turks and Caicos, Bermuda, all of them have the Union Jack. And he was like, "Why is that?" And so we talked about it, and I told him that's how you would know that's a territory of United Kingdom of Britain because they have
mm,
that flag. And so he was like, "Okay, cool." And so that was an experience for me. There's those moments where they connect when they connect things, which gives them idea. And we dive into to colonialism today. I didn't think that would have been a discussion yet. I was saving it because we briefly talked about it earlier in the school year, but we're gonna dive into it later on. But we
mm,
mentioned it today and about how territories, how these countries had these empires, and then these empires owned places across the world where
okay.
Britain actually led the charge. They owned places on almost every continent. Um, and so, you just diving into that kind of stuff. And like I said, the work part of it, they don't like that part. But they do like the learning aspect of it.
Mm, mm. Okay, good. That's good, man. I appreciate that, man. Um, so the other thing too that you're involved in is CTEC,
Yes. Yes.
Career
I
and
serve on
Technical
the
Ed.
Virgin Islands Board of Career and Technical Education.
Okay. And your secretary. Your position is
Yes,
secretary.
I serve
Oh,
as a secretary currently. I was appointed on the board, so I was nominated, in December last year, December, January, um, by Governor Brand. Thank you again, Governor Brand, for the nomination. And then I was confirmed by the legislature in April of this year,
mm,
and I've been serving since. I
okay.
was elected secretary May 2025, and it's been an interesting journey. For the past couple of weeks, I've experienced my first real disagreement with some of the board members because we didn't really I don't really disagree with them on a lot of things because I do see a lot of the policies that we're crafting or a lot of things we're working on excuse me, it's actually good stuff, but we just had our first disagreement. I won't say for the public, but we
You
just
mean
had our
you're
first
talking about
major.
the board itself?
Yeah, some of the
Okay.
things that we were trying to fix as a
Okay.
board itself.
Hmm.
And so we had some major disagreements, but we're fixing it and we're getting through because we've all of us have always had in mind we're not trying to be the board of elections that ends up on WTJX every 2 weeks because of an argument. So we're trying to fix that. We're not gonna let this board to get to that point.
Hmm.
And so we're just making sure that we voice our opinions. We might not always agree, but we're solving the problem.
Okay. So explain to the viewers and the listeners what this board is about.
Yes. So the Virgin Islands Board of Career and Technical Education, a lot of people we're actually right now kind of sharing with people because it used to be called the Virgin Islands Career and Technical Education Board. But the name was legally changed in the Virgin Islands Code because there was an issue between okay, the Virgin Islands Code is saying Career and Technical Education Board, but then we're saying Board of Career and Technical Education. And so we had a senator who made the change and officially put in the code Virgin Islands Board of Career and Technical Education. And
Hmm.
so we basically are the the board responsible for certifying CTE instructors in the territory. We certify programs, all CTE programs in the territory, public, private, parochial, business, you name it. That's what we do. We also craft policy for CTE in the Virgin Islands, and so
Mm,
we come up with different things we believe programs that have CTE should have or exist or whatever that case may be. So that's what we do. And we take pride in that. And I mean, like I said, sometimes the policies that some of my fellow members propose, I'm kind of just like, this is 2025, not 1995. However, but there's a good part of that discussion because then, that the whole reason why I got put on the board in the first place was because I'm the only alumni that serves on the board of career and technical education that ever went to CTE or CTEC or anything. I'm the only
I
one.
got you.
Nobody else has
Okay.
ever done. They've maybe worked for CTEC or something like that, but they've never went to the program. And the governor felt that in order for us to really improve our workforce, we need to have people who actually went through the program to share what could be done different. And so
So,
that's the role I play in crafting policy. So we primarily craft policy and certify instructors, to keep it short. That's
so
primarily what we
yeah.
do.
Well, what program did you take?
So I did tourism and business. So I'm
Okay.
certified in hospitality and tourism, and I'm
Okay.
certified in business. So that's
Okay.
that's what I took. I always saw myself being involved in business, and tourism intrigued me when I went to a CTE fair when I was in ninth grade, and so it
Mm,
was it was something I was curious about. I was like, tourism, okay, great. And come to find out that CTE certification would be the whole reason why I even got the job to teach in the first place.
okay. Okay.
So
And these
it
programs
did,
are at
yes,
complex.
yes. So it's at CT, the Career and Technical Education Center, and then for those who are interested, so that's the one on St. Croix, and then on St. Thomas is the Raphael or Whitley Skill Center.
Okay. Okay. And then any private companies. I know there's some private companies that like teach welding and that kind of stuff.
Yes,
They're
yes. So
part of
we
the program
certify
too.
those programs as well. So
I
they're not
got
a
you.
part of what do you call it, like education or anything like that, but we do certify their programs. We make sure that the instructors that run those programs have their qualifications to do those things.
To teach the classes. Yeah.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
got you. Okay. And how's that been working out so far?
It's been fun. It's been fun. I've been, like I said, I got to travel to Georgia recently in the summer. The board and we went up to support some of our students for Skills USA. But we primarily went up there for business. We went up there to meet with different directors of different CTE boards across the country and just
Mm,
kind of talk to them about, okay, what are things they're doing in their states or in their territories that's working for them, and what are some changes. Like I had conversations constantly with the board of directors for Hawaii,
mm,
because they're offshore state, and Puerto Rico and Guam. And so I was able to meet with a lot of the um offshore states and territories, just to get some ideas on some conversations. I even met with a director from Alaska. So I that
mm,
gave me an opportunity to meet with people in states that I have never even been to.
mm,
And I think it was just one of those moments that we were even able to show the students that networking is part of this work that we do. And we
mm,
got to meet with businesses as well and share with them that the Virgin Islands is open. And so that's
mm,
kind of what I've been doing. We're open for business. Come, bring your business, bring your company, provide the opportunities. We will make sure that you get certified. As long as you meet these criteria, your program will be certified, and you can help with our CTEC or the skill center in St. Thomas. Come,
yeah.
we need your help. We
Okay.
can't get this done by ourselves. And so that's what I've been doing. And then I've been to the legislature twice now, and since my role as secretary. I went during budget season in
Mm,
June, and then I just recently went, like, last week Friday, to
mm,
testify with our new ED about CTE in the Virgin Islands and some things we have going on. I'm actually going back to the legislature next week, Wednesday, to testify with the board in regards to the technical college that's being proposed. So
Okay.
I have a lot of testifying that I'm doing. We have board meetings every third Wednesday of every month. So we have a board meeting on the 19th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
We decided to change our board meeting times because I am too busy at 2 o'clock, and so is some of the other members. And so we made a shift to 4 o'clock. And I think
Okay.
that's better for many people that they can
Okay.
join on and see what's going on. So we're getting work done. We have our ED Whitaker. I will say publicly, she has been working extremely hard. We have a lot of meetings with principals in the next couple of weeks. We have a lot of school tours. We have a lot of engagement meetings that we have going on so that we could really get the work done. I feel now, I came onto the board 6 months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel we were moving a bit slow.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we've been really pushing. I've been trying to get on them to let's get action done. Let's get things done faster. I felt that
Okay.
we're moving too slow. So we're moving faster and we're getting things done, and our ED is definitely helping us with that.
Okay. Okay. So, if you could say, I mean, what are some of the issues, problems that you guys are having? I mean,
I think the
are they in
one
arm's reach to
which
fix?
yeah, one is technology. That's one of the things, getting the older members to adopt the technology. And so
Mm,
they've been accustomed to just using the basic, you know,
pen
um
and paper kind of thing.
yeah, or that and just the most basic technology, but we're yes, we're not government employees, but we are public servants. We're appointed
Mm,
public servants. And so having using the right platforms was a big part of it, not only because it's organization, but because of the security of the government and the documents that we're dealing with. And so
mm,
we had to adapt to using the proper um technology, and learning how to use calendars so that we could track our meetings, and learning how to just use the technology that's provided to us for free. We've
yes.
been paying for technology for years, even before I even came on the board. And now we were able to get fully integrated with BIT, Bureau of Information Technology, for those who are wondering. And we were able to get some free software so that we could be able to save costs, because CTE is expensive.
Mm,
And so we were able to save costs there. So it was just getting the staff, the rest of the members who are older, to transition to the now new advanced technology that we're using.
okay.
And so that's kind of been one of the struggles, that we're trying to navigate. Some other struggles are legal matters, which we don't discuss in public, but
Mm,
that's one I can mention.
okay.
Technology and trying to fix those
Okay.
things.
So you guys going to still sort of have some of the same courses and stuff, the plumbing, you mentioned the
Yes,
tourism, the
so
business.
so those things, yes, the Department of Education is still planning to have those. Our job is to provide oversight to make sure that they're happening, which is something I we're doing more of now because I'm pushing it. We need to make sure that we're providing oversight responsibility and make sure these programs are running the way it's supposed to. And if we go to a school and the environment is not conducive for cosmetology, then we don't need to certify the school to do cosmetology, or we don't
Mm,
need to certify the Department of Education to allow cosmetology to happen at this particular site, because it
mm,
does not meet our standards of what the environment is supposed to be
for,
for cosmetology.
for teaching
And
that
so
class,
that's
yeah.
something that we've been working with. I've been pushing us to work with the Board of Education on, because the Board of Education is who um, is responsible for certifying the schools if they meet standard to operate. And so if you notice, a lot of the things that we're trying to do, which is why my career is my next move, is leaning towards running for something else. And people could put two and two together. Um, but a lot of the things that I'm trying to tackle involves the board. And the board of CTE is only so much that we can do. Is only
Mm,
so we have just a small window of responsibilities that we do,
Mm-hmm.
while the other board has a bunch of other responsibilities. So it's getting a lot of collaboration between that board, and a lot of the things that we have to implement or try to implement, we need their input or we need
Okay.
their consideration. So we're trying to develop a joint committee, not necessarily a joint board because that would be legislation
Mm-hmm.
that will have to be done. But we're trying to develop a joint committee of board of education members and board of career and technical education members for us to work together to figure out how um certifying these programs at these schools are going to work. You guys are certifying the schools, we're certifying the programs that occur at these schools. And
Mm-hmm.
part of our checkpoint is the environment. If the environment and infrastructure is not the way it's supposed to be, then the program can't happen. And so I just need us as a board to
Mm-hmm.
enforce more of our oversight. Use it. There's a reason why we're the board. There's a reason why we have this oversight. Use it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Who else? Can you say who else is on the board?
Yes, so I serve with a lot of members who have their doctorate degrees, and I am so admired by them that they were able to accomplish these goals. So the chairwoman of the board is Mrs. Joanne Murphy. The vice chair is Dr. Anastasia Jackson. The secretary is myself. The we no longer have a treasurer. Our previous treasurer stepped down due to some personal matters. Our next in line is Dr. Susan McGrath. She's the UVI cell director. Next is Dr. Michael Francois. He's a professor at UVI. And then our ex officio member is Dr. Monique Faulkner. She's actually the state director of career and technical education and adult education for the Virgin Islands Department of Education. So those are the
Oh.
people I serve with. The current board standing is supposed to be 9 members, so we're short 4, because we don't
Mm-hmm.
count the ex officio member. So we're short 4 members, and so the governor has to nominate those individuals as soon as possible. But we do have a majority to operate and function. We just
Mm-hmm.
want more because we want to do
Yeah.
more things, but there's only so much of us that serve.
Okay. Is there anything new other than I guess the two bullet items that you guys think? Is there anything new that you guys are going to be doing to make the board more efficient?
Yeah, we the technology is playing a very big role in that. With our state organized, we've decided that we're going to be looking at elections for officers in the next couple of weeks. To figure out if maybe a leadership structure might have to happen. So there's that. So the technology, looking at our leadership, reviewing our leadership, seeing if changes need to be made, and we're not trying to do too much because our main focus right now is the board reviewing um, our view on the technical college. So
Okay.
that's what we're really trying to tackle and making sure that you know once this legislation, if it gets passed, that it's done right.
Hmm. Okay. Good. And are the classes in place now for this school year?
Yes. Yeah, so the courses are there. We just add on. They just added on. The Department of Education just added on some new ones. So St. Thomas now has aviation. Electric is now across. Electric vehicle is now across the territory. That's offered, I believe, in a night school program. So we're definitely expanding the programs and the opportunities for the students on the board. We're just here to make sure that whatever programs the Department of Education is launching in terms of CTE meets the criteria of what programs, the criteria of programs that we review
Yeah.
and adopt and all that. So
Yeah. Want to make sure everybody's certified to be
exactly.
instructors, all that kind
Hmm.
of stuff. So you mentioned electric cars. So there's a class now that you can go to learn how to
Yes,
fix
there's a
electric
class
cars.
for that. There's
Okay,
a
that's
class to
good.
learn to fix electric vehicles because the governor is full transparent trying to expand electric vehicles in the territory, and so they felt it was wise to develop an electric vehicle mechanic class, which I course,
Hmm.
excuse me, which I agree with. And it's about time. And so,
Okay.
and it gives a perspective, of students to learn electric vehicles. Like that's it's expanding across the country, and the governor felt that it could save pollution and all of the things here in the Virgin Islands, and so he expanded here.
Okay. So what about so you have sort of the sort of the tradesman type classes,
Hmm.
but what about some of the other stuff? I know that you have I don't know if it's hairdresser,
Yeah, so we
cosmetology.
have cosmetology, we have nursing, we have
Okay.
business, we have hospitality and tourism. So we do have a few that's not specifically trades, but it is career driven.
Okay.
So
Okay. And of course, someone in high school can start on this, but
yes,
like you said, you also have like third party companies that
yes,
offer
that
maybe
offer
in
these
the
things like
evening
yes, courses.
that you can
Hmm.
go to. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Yeah. This is good. This is good, man. So you've seen improvement in the whole board and the direction. I mean,
Yeah,
are we
we're
sort of
getting better.
rolling?
We're getting better. I'm not gonna say we're A plus or excellent or anything like that, but we are getting better. The
Okay.
direction I can now see where we're trying to go.
Okay.
When I
Okay.
first got on the board, some of the members, bless their heart, their passion for CTE is there. Everybody on the board is passionate about CTE. I will say that. However, the direction was all over the place. And so now
Mm,
we hone in on exactly where we're heading. This is where we're heading. These are the things we need to do to get there.
mm.
Everybody was kind of like knowing where the board wants to go, but there was really no cohesion in the sense of this is what we're trying
Yes.
to do from my
Okay.
viewpoint. And so now, and they may disagree with me, but that's what I viewed coming in as the newcomer entering
Oh,
um the board. And so we fixed that now. We now know
okay.
what direction we're supposed to be heading and what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. How about you have a lot of students in high school that are partaking in this? You guys
I
have a
have a
count on
few
that?
that do. I have a few that do night. Because our schedule at my school where we work at, they have 7 classes a day, so they don't really have room to
Mm,
do that, which is something that we're trying to fix. That's something that the Career and Technical Education Board will have to really work with the Board of Education to maybe look at some policy territory wide,
okay.
for public, private, and parochial, to see how we could make sure that every single student who graduates high school has a CTE certification. So that means having conversation with these other schools that have different schedules to see how a schedule could be made where a student can have an opportunity to be able to go and get their certificate in whatever the trade is. So there's some conversations that are going to happen, but some of my students do it in the night. So they
Mm,
do the night programs, but we are looking at ways to see can this expand to the daytime, even to the private and parochial schools.
okay. Okay. So Free Will doesn't have any of this.
No, we do electives. We do electives. So I teach the tourism elective. That's I'm certified in it. I have my background in it, so I teach the tourism elective. But that's really the only major. That's only the real CTE course per se that
Mm,
exists at the
okay.
school. It's not a program, because if it was a program, then it would be certified, and then students will be able to get a certificate. It's just an elective that the students do. Um, but I do it to the best of my ability. I try to expose them as much as possible. We
Mm,
actually have a free trip on Friday, actually. We're going to Carambola. And so
okay.
we're touring the hotel and resort, and we're going to get to meet with the leadership team, and they're going to kind of show them the ropes of teaching them about customer service and about how um, the
How to run
hotel
a
plays a part
hotel?
in the economy, right? And how to
Yeah.
run a hotel. So I try my best. And I would love at some point for the private and parochial schools to have at least one active CTE program. But there's steps to getting there, and so we're
Okay.
now just figuring out how those steps are going to work. Because we got
Oh,
to remember these private and parochial schools are independent of the government. They
yes.
don't they're not part of the government, so there's certain things that we can enforce, and then there's certain things that we can't enforce just because there's no policy that guides that specific thing yet. So
Over that
once we
school, yeah.
figure out, yeah, so once we figure out what that thing is, then we could work on adjusting whatever the policy we need to do to adjust it.
Okay, man, that sounds good, man. Congratulations, man. CTEC is important, and I think as I mentioned to you before we started, I knew Dan McIntosh, and he was big into CTEC. He has since passed on, but
Hmm.
you could tell that was his thing. He wanted to make sure that um, that this was available to
Hmm.
students. To
Yes.
if you don't want to study academics, you can sort of get your hands on
Hmm.
these other courses and get certified, and
Which
and
is
sort of.
okay. And this is part of why I joined the board in the first place, because I did it the other way around. I went to work, then school,
Mhm,
then got my degree and all that stuff. People do things different. Like, uh, you know, um, so I have my associates for those who don't know. And I'm currently pursuing finishing up my bachelor's and all that. But the whole thing is that I went to work and then school. You don't have to necessarily do school then work.
mhm,
It's what you're built to do. And so
mhm,
I wanted to do the work to school, work and then school route.
mhm,
Um, which worked for me. And that's the whole thing. COVID really showed us that every child does not learn the same.
mhm,
And we should not teach every child the same. We should provide opportunities that each child could decide. Like, each child is everybody's not going to do CTE in the sense of diving really into a trade. Not everybody's going to do college. Not everybody's going to do military. Not everybody's going to go straight to work. And so
mhm,
that's why it's so important to have all these different sectors of careers, because it's important. Or
mhm.
sectors of education, because it's important. And that's what CTE bridges all of that. And
Okay,
that's why
I
it's so
got.
important to fund it, because everything you do is a career. If you make it a career, being in the military, that's your career. Being a nurse, a doctor, a teacher, a electrical engineer, all of those things are careers. It's just
Mhm,
some of them are tied to trades. And
mhm,
so that's what we try our best to make sure the students have the exposure to all of those opportunities, so that they can't say they didn't have those opportunities. So
opportunities. Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good, man. Our guest is Anthony Mardenborough
Yes,
Jr.
Mardenborough. Yes.
He's a school teacher at Free Will Baptist, teaching I guess Caribbean history, and then more specifically
Yes, I teaching
VI,
the rest, yeah, most of the histories. Yes.
and then more
For high
specifically the
school.
VI history. And he is
Hmm.
also sits on the board for CTEC,
Yes.
Career and
Yes.
Technical Education Center.
Y-
Uh,
just for the whole thing, just everything. Yeah, I don't serve specifically for the center. I serve for all CT, everything CT.
okay. So that's the difference there. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. Hmm.
So what else? Anything else you wanted to share? I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, like I said, I just wrapped up my education, which is something that everybody been pressing me about. I'm finished. So I'm very glad I was able to finish. It was a long journey. When I started teaching, getting into college and finishing that whole thing. So I'm wrapping up my studies now. I'm in my seat in finishing up my senior year just now, and I can't wait, because it's about time.
mm,
And so wrapping up my senior year of studies, and I will have my degree in the next couple of months, and so I'm excited about that. Besides that, I've been serving on the Juvenile Justice State Advisory Group Board for the same amount of time I've been serving on the CTE board. Um, and we haven't met. We're meeting for the first time November 18th.
you
So
said you
it
said this
was,
is the Juvenile Justice
yeah,
Board.
Juvenile Justice State Advisory Group Board. So I'll quickly share what that is. So it's a group of individuals who are going to be drafting policy to try to work with the judicial system of the Virgin Islands, to make sure that we're giving our juvenile offenders opportunity to to improve and give them a second chance. And so
Mm,
we're crafting policy to make sure that those second chances are able to be provided, and we could make recommendations to the senators to ask them to get certain legislation passed so that
mhm.
our juvenile offenders have an opportunity to do better. And so
Yeah.
that's part of what we do. And then of course to prevent juvenile crimes and crafting legislation and policy and all those different things. So that's primarily what we're doing. And we're meeting for the first time this month, actually, November
Mm,
18th.
mhm,
We're meeting for the first time in St. Thomas. Our chair is Reverend Adrian Glennon, and then we're meeting to elect our vice chairs and all the other officers because the chair is appointed by the governor. So the
mm,
governor chooses who the chair is going to be.
mhm,
But then the board, we get to decide whoever else we want
mhm.
to serve in whatever else position. So it's
Okay.
it's going to be an interesting experience to meet those individuals. I'm serving on a board with so many individuals who are involved, like I'm serving on the board with Director Bureau of Corrections, Director Winnie Testamark, Senator Angel Volquez Jr. So I'm serving on a with a diverse group of individuals, from corrections to education to law to policy to you name it, just different people with different experiences. I serve with the Director of Gun Violence Prevention, Antonio Emmanuel. So I serve with a diverse group of individuals. And they also have a CTE member on the board too. So I think that plays a part in some of the decisions on policy that we craft and how we could use CTE to be the alternate to crime.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
that's that's part of what we're doing.
Yeah. Real quick, we got one comment here. Someone's just giving us
Yes. Good
a good
evening. Good
evening.
evening.
I don't know if you know who this person is.
Yes, I do. I know
Okay.
exactly what it is.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening to you too, Mr. James. Hope all is well this
I hope so
fine
too.
Tuesday evening here. Okay. What else? You have time for all this stuff, man?
Yeah. The time management is definitely a skill that I
Yeah.
learned very early on. And I'm glad I did, because if I didn't, then I don't think I would have been able to do any of these things. So I had to learn time management, and I still run my nonprofit. Um, but my nonprofit has a team. We have a huge team, so it's extremely easy for me to be able to leave someone in charge to get things done,
Mm,
um, while I'm not there. So the nonprofit, I kind of been transitioning into someone else so that I could just be the founder and the president. But at some point I will be appointing an executive director to really run the nonprofit and give it the time that it needs. I'm
mm,
expanding in a whole different section in my career. And, as much as I will continue to work with my nonprofit as the president and, get things done that I want to get done, it's time for me to give a younger person who's been in my nonprofit for a while a chance to at least see what I've been doing. And
mm,
that's kind of what I want. I want my executive directors to be young. I don't want them to be, older individuals, not because older individuals don't have experience, but because this organization started from a young person being an
mm.
executive director. So I want them to get that exposure. So at some point I will be transitioning it on to someone else, as the board decides what the next steps are going to be. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just about managing your time and knowing when it's too much.
Okay. So what? Your nonprofit was in existence when you were on the show before, right? Or is this
Yes, it
something
was.
new?
It was. It's been in existence since 2013. So
Okay.
almost
Okay.
12 years.
So
Yeah, almost 12 years.
what does your nonprofit do?
So we provide programs to students ages 5 through 17 in the areas of arts, academics, trades, and sports. And so we provide opportunities, either free to low affordable programs. What we're primarily known for, though, in the Virgin Islands is our summer program,
Hmm.
primarily on St. Croix. That's what we're known for. We do summer programs almost every year. And so that's primarily what we're known for.
Okay. Okay. We got another comment here from the same individual. You just look at your screen there.
Yes. That's exactly why. That's exactly why I finished, college, because I'm young. I have time. When I decide to have families and a family and married and all those different things, I might not have all the time I have right now. So
Yeah.
that's why I went straight into working first for a couple of months, and then enrolled into college, and that has been the best decision I made. And
Mhm.
I always tell people, even those who run for office that are still in college, run. Don't let you not having a degree stop you from running for office. Um, like, because when you look at these qualifications for office, none of them say you need a degree. That's what people say you need because of the qualifications they want to elect someone with. But that's not what the board of elections ask you. That's not the qualifications
That's
by
not one
law,
of the requirements, yeah,
right?
to get, yeah.
So don't let that stop you. Now, I know, me personally, I know if I don't feel I'm prepared for position, I'm not running for it. Um, but if I know I'm prepared, I'm going to run for it. Which is what happened last year. I ran for the board of elections, and my race wasn't too bad. I wasn't successful, but I wasn't too far in votes, and I
Mhm.
know I was prepared to serve on the board of elections because I wanted. My main goal was to make sure young people understand the importance of voting.
Mhm.
And I feel it's time for me to get back into the ring. I am running for one of the boards. Um, I've already said that publicly. People know I'm running for one of the boards. It's just which one. It's which one they're waiting to find out that I'm running for. And it's one that when I do announce, people won't be surprised. Because that's who I am. That's
Mhm.
what I've been doing ever since I known myself.
Okay. Okay, good, man. Anything else?
No, like I said, I've just been enjoying myself, relaxing, taking more vacations, just focusing on me. Especially after the election, I wanted to reflect on the fact that you know me not winning is just another opportunity for me to run, maybe for
Mhm.
that same position or for something else. It gave me more time to show people that this is what I'm about, and I got the opportunity to serve on two boards. One of them I have no term limit, and the other one I have a 4-year term limit. So,
Okay.
I was able to serve on two boards, and so that's why I always tell people to, if you have a higher power, my own is God. Just to continue to pray and follow His lead, and He will make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been focusing on, and just making sure my life is aligned the way it's supposed to.
And
Um,
I
and
think you can add to that too is make sure you're surrounded by good people.
and people, yes, that part, that
That,
part.
that,
I
that
have a
that's very
very good
critical.
support team, not only at work, but at home. In my campaign team, as we're developing right now, I have a very good support system. Um, in making sure that I'm not overwhelmed, that I'm not burned out, and that does help.
Yes. Yes. All right. It's almost 9 o'clock, man. I want to
Yes.
thank you for coming on the podcast tonight. This is the It's Your Perspective Talk Show podcast. Our guest tonight is Anthony Mardenborough Jr.
Yes.
He's been on
Hmm.
our show before, 2, 3, 4 years back, and he's just continuing to pursue his endeavors to, I guess, to make the Virgin Islands a better place. He's young, and he wants to make sure that people younger than him have good opportunities to advance themselves here in the Virgin Islands. And
Yes.
that's another reason why I wanted to invite you back on the show. Just like I was telling the gentleman um, yesterday that I was on the show. I see what you're posting, and I see that you're working hard, and you're trying to make yourself better and also the community better
Mhm.
by what you're doing. And I kudos to you guys, for doing
Thank
that
you.
kind of stuff. It's hard work, it's time consuming,
Hmm.
and but if you have God first and you have a good support team, man, you go all the way to the top.
Yes. Yes.
And I appreciate that, man. So on that note, I want to thank you again. Much success to you.
Thank you.
Do come back on when when you make some more important decisions, so we
Yes.
can just let the community know what's happening with you, and we appreciate that. And CTEC, just keep working with those working with the individuals there to grow that program and make it
Yes.
affordable for everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
All right, thank you, man. So on that note, this is the HR Perspective Talk Show podcast, live every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We have one more show this week. That's tomorrow night. We'll see you guys then. Have a good night. Thank you.